Welcome to the reading from Brilliant as the Sun, a retelling of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Mysteries of Creation. And we are going to read the second part of chapter 10, the 10 subjects of Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Shukadev is explaining about the 10 subjects of Bhagavatam. We'll continue. The sage was pensive for a moment. He then said, "Besides this gross, universal form of the Lord, there is another extremely subtle manifestation which is invisible, without qualities or shape, inexplicable and eternal. Both of these forms are material, and thus the pure devotees who know the Lord in truth do not accept either as being equal to his forms in Vaikuntha, such as Narayan and Krishna. Whenever there is a need, the transcendent Lord accepts forms in the material world to create, maintain, and destroy the universes. However, he always remains transcendental too and unaffected by these activities, because unlike the conditioned souls, he is not under the control of modes of nature, nor does he exploit this world for his own selfish enjoyment." Parikshit now clearly understood that the whole creation and the creative energies are simultaneously one with and yet different from the transcendent Lord. Since everything is an emanation from him, the cosmic energies are him. Yet since all Krishna's expanded energies have specific functions and varied appearances as designed by him, they are also different from him. The living beings as his energies are also simultaneously one with and different from him. As Parikshit reflected on Krishna's kindness, tears of love flooded his eyes. Even though the living beings rebel against Krishna's authority, he still arranges everything for them. Then he enters their hearts and remain with them no matter what body they accept. Parikshit further ruminated on the different opinions the sages had earlier expressed. Remembering how the followers of Karma Mimamsa were attracted to the heavenly planets, he decided to ask questions for their benefit. "My Lord, please describe how living beings get different bodies in the material world. Earlier you said it is because of their association with the modes of nature. Please explain what births result from work performed under the various mixtures of these modes." Shukadev said, "O king, all living entities receive a material body according to their past deeds. This includes Brahma and his sons, the Manus, the administrative gods, the sages, the lower celestial races, the demon races, humans, ghosts, evil spirits, birds, mammals, reptiles, aquatics, and all other moving and non-moving species. All experience the results of their own acts. All material bodies are governed by combinations of the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Those who are predominantly act in the mode of goodness take birth as gods in the celestial regions in their next lives. Those who work mainly in passion will take birth as human beings, and those who act in ignorance will take birth among the lower species. These three types of beings are again divided into three, and when they again mix with the other two modes. For example, a living being who takes birth as a human because of a predominance of passion may be also influenced by goodness and thus take birth as a Brahman. Or he may be affected by ignorance and takes birth as a Shudra." Shukadev paused deep in thought. Many of the sages present could not understand why an all-good God places souls into such miserable conditions. He continued, "After creating the universe, the Lord, who is its maintainer, appears within its numerous incarnations to reclaim the fallen souls in all species of life. At the end, he assumes the form of Rudra to annihilate it. as the wind disperses clouds. The foolish conditioned soul strives to attain permanent happiness in this temporary world. Krishna, however, gives information that there is another nature which is eternal, and that by engaging in his devotional service we can be transferred there to enjoy a permanent life of full knowledge and unlimited bliss. The purpose of this world is to give rebellious souls a chance for self-realization. We should not waste it in sense gratification. Indicating the Sankhya philosophers, the Vaisheshikas, and Gautam and his students, Shukadev said, although we can attain Krishna's personal association, some transcendentalists are satisfied to simply understand his personal feature. Looking over the followers of Patanjali, he said, yogis desire to realize the Paramatma. Both of these features of the Supreme are involved only in the material creation. Turning towards Narad, Vyasadev, Deval, and other devotees, he added, pure devotees of Krishna, however, see much more glorious pastimes of the Lord in the transcendental realm beyond matter. They take full advantage of the duration of the material creation to qualify themselves to enter Krishna's eternal blissful kingdom, where they can enjoy with him forever in the transcendental love. Indeed, absorbed in these confidential pastimes, Krishna does not personally involve himself with creation. Parikshit looked surprised. Do the Vedas describe him as the creator? Yes, but this is simply to counter the mistaken idea that material nature creates alone. The material creation is executed by his energies such as Pradhan and his Purushavatar expansions, as I have already explained. Parikshit could not resist a glance toward the Sankhya proponents who held this erroneous belief. They were all sitting in spellbound silence as Shukadev rebutted their speculations. Parikshit's thoughts again turned to Jaimini's followers who desired to attain celestial bodies in the heavenly planets. Knowing it to be unwise to aspire for any position in the material universe, he hoped Shukadev could help them also realize this. Please tell me, O Master, how long this creation lasts. I have heard that not only is there an annihilation at the end of Brahma's life, but that even during his life there are subsidiary destructions and creations. Please describe how long these last. How long also are the lifespans of the gods and other beings dwelling throughout the universe? Shukadev replied, the first division of creation is known as Mahakalp, which lasts from when the universes first emanate from Mahavishnu's body until they return into him. The next division of creation is known as Vikalp. This period spans Brahma's entire life. The last division of creation is known as Kalpa, spanning one day of Brahma from when he rises to when he goes to sleep. At the end of Brahma's days, there is partial devastation. At the beginning of his next day, upon awakening, Brahma again creates. I will speak more about this topic, but first tell me if you have any other queries. Encouraged by Shukadev, Parikshit asked many questions. Again, on behalf of those desiring to enjoy the results of their acts, he asked, please explain more about time and how in both small and large steps and through the three divisions of past, present and future, it brings about the results of work and again devours them. Remembering that the followers of Sankhya were interested in how creation occurred, he asked, please explain exactly how the different planets in the universe along with the sky, stars, seas, mountains, rivers and continents were created. How do the living beings attain these various destinations? Then, thinking of the Vaisheshika's interest to understand everything scientifically, he said, please describe the dimensions of the cosmos, both within and beyond our universe. Kindly also explain the scientific reason for dividing society according to the different varnas and ashrams, as well as the characteristics and activities of liberated souls who are not constrained by varnashram. Thinking how the followers of the atheistic Kapil considered him to be mentioned in the Vedas and how people were prone to be misled by persons falsely presenting themselves as avatars. He asked, "Please tell me about the cyclical eras and the material universe eras the material universe undergoes, known as yugas, and the activities of the Lord's incarnations within each of them. What specific duty do they teach?" Remembering how there were various opinions about man's highest duty, he asked, "What is the common duty of everyone as well as individual duties according to one's specific position in society?" "I am specifically interested to know the responsibilities of rulers. Kindly also explain what one should do in the time of distress when it may not be possible to adhere to normal duties." Parikshit knew that the overriding principle in all the circumstances was bhakti, and he wanted Shukadev to make that clear. The king thought again of the arguments put forward by the non-devotee sages. Several of them had spoken of the importance of understanding the fundamental principles of matter, how this would enable one to extricate himself from material entanglement. However, they had not seen the connection to Krishna. Knowing that Shukadev would present this topic in a clear devotional light, he said, "Please describe the basic elements of creation, how they form and they develop." Remembering that Shukadev had explained that the Supreme Lord can be known both by the process of mystic meditation and by hearing and chanting, he asked, "Which is best? Please also describe the different mystic powers or siddhis the yogis can attain. How do perfected yogis detach themselves from their subtle astral bodies?" Reflecting on how the sages were contradicting each other by citing different sections of the Vedas, he asked, "Are all the Vedas, including the different corollaries like the Purans, teaching the same truth?" Many sages leaned forward with interest, enthused by Parikshit's questions. Their white top knots and beards reminded Parikshit of the rolling ocean waves. Becoming pensive, he considered how material life was like the sailing across a vast ocean. As long as the sea was calm and the skies clear, the journey was pleasant. But when the storms arose or fog descended, the journey was perilous. There was every chance that the boat might sink and everyone aboard drown. At that time, no one could help. Similarly, while people were enjoying the fruits of past good karma, their lives seemed pleasant, but in a moment that could change when they were overcome by the reactions of past sins. Only Krishna can help at such times. The king was anxious to have the sage speak directly about the devotional service, but at the same time he did not want to lose the sage's interest. He knew that many of them were not yet ready for such a direct approach. Parikshit therefore phrased his next question in such a way that the sages could think he was asking about creation, maintenance, and universal inundation. His words, however, had a dual meaning, which Shukadev understood. Really, the king wanted to know what was the favorable and unfavorable to the execution of devotional service to Krishna, which alone could attract the Lord's protection. Shukadev smiled, understanding Parikshit's intention. He nodded slightly and waited for him to finish his queries. Knowing that many in the audience were interested in material happiness and salvation, Parikshit asked, "Please also describe the Vedic rituals for achieving life's four great aims: piety, economic development, sense pleasure, and liberation." Realizing that some souls might require many lifetimes to achieve perfection, Parikshit said, "What happens to those who have not attained liberation by the time of universal devastation? Both the pious and impious, how do they again appear in the world? Please also tell me about the eternally liberated souls who serve the Lord within the material creation. What happens to them at the time of annihilation?" Parikshit, Parikshit glanced around. Many sages doubted that Krishna was the Supreme Person. They argued that God is good and equal to all. Therefore, he would not kill either demons or his own family. The king did not share these doubts. He was confident that the Lord's pastimes were all spiritual. Under the material energy, it would not be possible for a suckling baby to kill a terrific demon like Putana, remaining unperturbed and simultaneously reciprocating with his mother. Any ordinary child would have been killed or severely disturbed. Similarly, if all one's family members are killed, a person grievously laments. However, Krishna was unaffected. Surely then it was a spiritual pastime. The sages needed to understand this. Parikshit said, please describe how Krishna's pastimes are all enacted under this internal spiritual potency. From the corner of his eye, Parikshit spotted a group of sages who practiced mystic yoga, intent on realizing the supersoul. The king asked, please also explain how Krishna, while always enjoying his own pastimes, is simultaneously the dispassionate witness of everything that happens in his external material energy. The king concluded his questions, kindly show me your mercy by answering these queries. Also explain to me anything I may not have asked that you feel I should know. Parikshit leaned forward. He wanted to hear Shukadev's every word with his lucid and powerful explanations. The saint would surely dispel the confusions presented by the sages. With folded palms he said, I fully accept your words as perfect truth. Therefore, even though I have heard these subjects discussed previously by other sages, I desire to hear your answers, for you are the greatest authority. Like Brahma, you have personally seen the truth. Others merely adhere to the opinions handed down by the speculative thinkers of the past. My Lord, by drinking the nectar-like messages of the infallible Supreme Person flowing from your mouth, I do not feel any exhaustion due to my fasting. Pleased by Parikshit's questions, Shukadev said, O king, you asked about the time, and I shall shortly answer that question by describing how time is measured, up to the measurement of the kalpa. First, however, I shall answer some of your other queries by describing this current day of Brahma, known variously as the Padma Kalp or Varaha Kalp. So with this, chapter 10 of Canto 2, 10 subjects of Srimad Bhagavatam finishes. I will read the couple of short paragraphs of the epilogue of this second canto. As Sutta had been addressing the great concourse of ascetics, night had closed in around them. A thin crescent moon cast a faint glow on the gathering. Shaunak suggested they adjourn until morning, and Sutta agreed. Before they dispersed, Shaunak said, O Holy One, we know you wish to speak about the Padmakalp. However, during our midday break, I conferred with the senior sages. We are eager to hear about the meeting between Vidur and Maitreya, which you earlier mentioned. What would you like to know? What topics did Vidur and Maitreya discuss? Why did Vidur initially leave his home, and for what reason did he later return? We are also keen to know what Vidur did while he was on pilgrimage. Sutta replied, as it so happens in speaking about the Padmakalp, Shukadev cited Maitreya's meeting and conversation with Vidur. At that time, Parikshit asked very similar question to yours. I shall recount this to you when we reconvene tomorrow. So this will be continued in the third canto. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.